Man United 0, Leeds 0. I'm here with my second partner in crime, Owen. Not very good. Not very good today. It's been a hell of a week where we haven't really been thinking about football. That type of performance almost felt like both sets of players weren't really thinking about football. It's a really poor game, isn't it?
It was so odd today, Flex, because it wasn't just only, like you said, it wasn't just. I mean, everyone felt tired. I felt tired watching the game. It looked like the players felt tired. Even after the game, once the whistle went, everyone was all smiles because they were just glad it was over. It was like watching a bad film. You know, you come out of it and then you're looking at your watch after going, oh, come on, can this get over? That's what it felt like. It felt like just everyone was glad that it was finished. But the interesting thing about it is that despite how bad it was, you know, everyone was happy to see it, you know, end. But there is a lot to break down because it wasn't great. You know what I mean? Because it was so bad, there's a lot to pick in it, which I guess is a good thing for stuff like this. But watching it,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, if you've got trouble with sleeping, I mean, watch that game, honestly.
Yeah, and you'd be sorted.
It was really tough. Yeah.
It was bad, but you said there's a lot to kind of get into on the negative side of the performance. Where would you start with what you saw to unpick it?
Well, like we've seen this so many times this season with United. It's slow, not going. The issue is sometimes with Man United, right? And there's obviously been this incentive by the coaches, Solskjaer, whoever. We want to try and pass it around a little bit at the back. The issue with that is that there is no quality to pass the ball around at the back because McTominay and Fred, they get the ball and they can't pass forward. And then when they do try and pass forward, the quality isn't there. When they try and pass sideways, the quality isn't there. And some of the times, you know, watching them throughout the game, just some of those hospital passes from McTominay or Fred, you watched it, but there's the only time I woke up is when they did a slack pass for, we're going to concede.
Yeah.
But it was slow. And then, you know, Dan James, I'm not going to criticize Ollie for starting Dan James because look, he had his best game of the season against Leeds earlier on this season. And I'm not going to criticize Ollie, to be honest, for the starting 11 at all, because looking at the game earlier on in the season, you would have said, well, that's justified. That's absolutely justified. But the amount of touches and the amount of he's tentative, Dan James. You know, if he's not running and he's got the ball at his feet, that's a worry. That's a concern for him, obviously, because it's 2 or 3 touches and he had an opportunity where he could have hit it first time, or as a pass where you've got to hit it first time, or the one where he gets confused with Bruno. Again, he's got to take a touch because he's not sure what his feet's going to do. Maybe because they're moving so fast. I don't know, because he is Roadrunner. It was stuff like that. It's stuff like that where you just go, it's composure, but also being quick at the same time. You know, sometimes it's like the Matrix. You got to be that kind of player where things are moving fast, but they slow down in your mind enough that you can see where things are going to go.
That's what the great players do. That's what the top players do. Isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. When things are starting to slow down around you, and you go, okay, this is where I have to go. You're thinking 2 steps ahead, and it just doesn't feel that with Man United sometimes. In these cases, if the ball does get forward enough, sometimes it's too many touches, too slow. And I thought against Leeds that wouldn't be the case. You would have thought there would have been open space.
Well, especially with a week off. We've had a week off.
Exactly.
Did that have the reverse effect? Like, you know, when you play Thursday, Sunday, the downside is, the chance of injury is higher. You know, you need to rotate the squad. The game's coming quickly. But the plus side, if you're an athlete or a footballer, like, you're in tune, you're in rhythm. And do you think maybe going to that change it, or that, to be fair, that's just how Man United are capable of playing?
I don't know. I'm hesitant to talk about, you know, a bit of rust because it's 7 days. They're professional athletes. They're professional footballers. I think we're giving them maybe a little bit too much credit there. I think that the thing that might have affected with the 7 days, though, is Solskjaer thought, well, they've got 7 days worth of legs in them. I'll wait later when I do these subs, because I felt that was too late.
Why were they so late? Yeah. It was crazy.
I don't know. I really don't know. And especially when you look at the Donny van der Beek one with Fred, that's changing system. That's changing system of, okay, we've got a bit more of a progressive player here. We're going to say McTominay is going to be doing the sort of the dirty stuff in the midfield. Van der Beek is going to pass the ball forward. He is going to be a bit more dynamic, which is what the game was screaming out for. And it's 2 minutes before the end of the game. And even the first subs, whether it's Pogba coming on, that's 70 minutes. At 70 minutes. And I can see that from a point of view from Solskjaer of saying, well, you know, they had a 7 days worth of rest and all that kind of stuff. But we've got a semi-final in the week. You're draining your players and you're not getting the result you want to get today. So you're not even getting either one. It's not as if you waited it late. And sometimes when you're on Twitter during the game, and I was thinking this, like when I was tweeting out, going, oh, these subs are too late. I was thinking, well, if it works out and it comes on, you go, brilliant. So he got it right. He waited for the right time and he got it right. But it never felt like that. It always felt like, because it wasn't even, I say 70 minutes, we're talking like 72, 73 minutes when it came on. Then you're talking about 15 minutes or so to change the game. Not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. And that game was screaming out for changes.
It really was.
If you had a gutsy, I'm not saying Solskjaer's not a gutsy manager, but if you had someone that could really, okay, I'm going to, because when you make a substitution really early, you're admitting your mistake essentially, aren't you? And it was one of those games.
He done it against Burnley. That's what I've commended him for against Burnley. You know, he realised that actually, no, we need to change this. And it just didn't happen, did it? It didn't happen, you know. Today.
And maybe it's one of those things where he realizes where we are in the table at this point. City are going to win the league with the results of Chelsea and Liverpool dropping points at certain points this week. Maybe he realizes, you know what, it does not that it doesn't matter, but he kind of almost gave the game away after the interview with Burnley when he said, "Look, we're on the same amount of points as we were on last season. If we get one more point, we've improved. We got that one more point today. It's improved."
So you can say it now. Yeah,
I've definitely improved, and it was just a really poor game. A really poor game. And
was it an off game?
I don't know what it was, because it wasn't just Man United from the poor side as well. It was Leeds as well. I mean, Leeds still played as Leeds play, but it did feel a little bit like that's one of the most reserved Leeds performances I've seen.
They didn't play very well either. I mean, the quality was like Jamie Carragher was laughing at times, like it was that bad, because it was that bad.
It was that bad. And from the Leeds point of view, talk about tactical fouls. If they're ever going to look into reforms where a tactical foul means more than a yellow card, like whatever they would call it, a green card, magenta card, 15 minutes in the sin bin, whatever, that would be a game where they were struggling to have players on the pitch. Because the amount of times where, I mean, maybe this was the problem of United trying to actually make some space and move things forward a bit quickly. As soon as they did, it was right, pull the shirt down on the floor, tackle, get rid of them, put them on the floor. It felt like, maybe it's because it's a derby game. Maybe it's because that's what the derby spirit we're looking for. And maybe in those derby games where the quality is lacking, that's where the crowd gets you over the line, because it's the atmosphere. You don't care what's happening as much on the pitch because you get all wrapped up in the atmosphere. It was like a derby game with no atmosphere, but the quality wasn't there. So it was just bad. It was just a bad watch, a really bad watch that at the end of it, I mean, you knew the result after 70 minutes. I mean, talking about Solskjaer not making subs, you could have told me that game was going to be 0-0 and I'd been okay. You'd have had to wake me up to do it, but that would have been about it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But you kind of feel like it's been such a stressful week and in terms of football, should I say, in the footballing world. And you look at all the emotion that's gone on. You had the protest yesterday. You know, everyone was at it, whether it's online, whether you're there, it doesn't matter. You're still feeling that emotion. And then you kind of just separate yourself from that for 90 minutes to say, right, it's time to just focus on this. And it's almost like it just, like sort of, you know, I wanted a bit of football just to forget about what's gone on. And it kind of just felt so flat, which makes you think more about Thursday, though, because how big's Thursday to finish off?
Huge. Absolutely. It's massive. I think the worry for me now as a fan would be that I hope that kind of performance doesn't show up on Thursday. I hope that you would have hoped that we would have built up some form of momentum, which I don't know if we have now. There just feel that obviously there's a bit of negativity around the club, not the team. There's a negativity around the club in terms of we want the Glazers out and just results like today. And again, that's why it feels weird, like you said, when the game sort of kicked off, is not that you forgot about what's going on around the club, but it kind of it still does feel really secondary, doesn't it, with everything that's going on? And maybe that's the reason for the performance. But Thursday's massive. Thursday's massive for Solskjaer. But again, that's why it confused me as to why he's waiting so long to make these subs. Because I mean, how long did Marcus Rashford play today? He didn't train as much this week.
85 minutes. I know. And then the week before, he brought him off earlier.
Exactly. If there's ever a game to say, you know what, Marcus, you know, take it off. It doesn't, not that a Leeds Man United match doesn't matter, but you've got bigger matches to come, game management. And we spoke about it, Flex, during the press conference, that when it comes to Rashford, like, I worry. I look at him. I look at him and I worry, because we've seen it over the years with a variety of players that they're constantly carrying injuries, and it does catch up to you. It will catch up to you. I know they're professional athletes and I know they've got world-class care around them, but it does catch up to you. Look at Michael Owen. Look at, I mean, Rooney just peaked at different times. But look at people like Fernando Torres. After a while, you can't carry someone for so long before actually it's permanent stuff. The risk was there last season with his back injury, and it feels like for what? 3, 4, 5, 6 months. We've always heard, Rashford's carrying a knock, whether it's his shoulder, it's his back, it's whatever.
There's always something, yeah.
It's always something. Yeah. And I said on the press conference in the week, as soon as he said Rashford's missed training, I went, well, he'll start the weekend.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's what he does. And it worries me because we've got big games like Thursday coming up, and just every time he comes off, he looks like he can barely walk.
I know. You know? He does look shattered, and sometimes it looks like he's playing within himself. Normally I ask this after a really good performance, but man of the match today?
Tough one. Really tough one. I thought Luke Shaw, again, he's
solid.
Class. He really is class.
It gets to the point where it's like, you don't even... it's like... you don't. Well, if you say it, it's like it doesn't really mean anything because he's just that good. He's just always that good. He's just comfortably going about his business.
I thought Wan-Bissaka played well against today as well, which is positive because he has been inconsistent this season. I've criticised him a few times this season because I think obviously people can talk about him going forward not being his strongest suit, but the thing with him previously is that he was a really strong defender, and I think at times this season even that's kind of dissipated a little bit by not knowing what's over his shoulder, and sometimes for set pieces he's a bit slacking. But I thought he was solid today as well. And to be honest, talk about a thankless task. I thought Greenwood played really well. I thought I say it over and over again on every stream that we do and every video that we do, but you can see every single game he becomes more of a number 9, and he so is a number 9. And again, it was a real thankless task today because we talk about 9s not getting service and all that kind of stuff. But I felt today that Greenwood, if he'd have just had that better service, if he'd have just had, I don't want to pin on Dan James, but if he'd had someone that was going to get him the ball into him first time quicker, he's got the finish in. And he still tried to get shots away, even times where there was nowhere that if they were going to go in. But it's just a shot, and it's just trying to keep the opposition defense on their toes or the opposition keeper on their toes. Because I hate it when you get to an end of the game, it's like one shot attempted or something. You've just been trying to pass it, and at least he's trying. So I felt that, I liked Greenwood today, but I'd probably, it's just cliche, but I'd probably say Luke Shaw.
Yeah,
that's every game at the moment.
It's every game. Yeah. Listen, we go again Thursday. I'll probably see you during the week at some other time. And we go again. Peace.
Absolutely.